In my latest article, Encoding Intent, I talked about how I encoded governance rules regarding flows. And I took the example of a checkout flow where I wanted at the end of the flow, when the user clicks and purchases something, to use a success variant of my button rather than a primary one. In this video, I wanted to show another example just to show how a new rule can encode it. And I took a cancel subscription example. Let's say you have a flow where the user cancels the subscription, and you might want your cancel subscription button to be a danger variant, so showing up in red. Let's say we want to encode this rule, and in the system I have skills that encode rules. So here I'm dictating a command for Claude where I mentioned that I want to add this new rule. It's for a user journey, for cancellations specifically, and that I want to encode this in my database of rules. So here I sent the command. And another thing I did is, since I have a bunch of these rules that are now encoded, I asked Claude to generate like a little dashboard just to have a little overview that can be read by humans in an easier way. So it just created like an HTML little dashboard with some filters that allow me to have a bit of a better overview of what kind of rules I encoded, and I can filter them. As you can see here, I have some journeys rules that I encoded. Those are the ones I mentioned in my previous article. And since now I'm adding a new rule for cancellations, I expect my encoding skill to add a new rule there. And as you can see, now we have 24 rules. If we go in journeys, I can see like there is a new scope CNL that is for cancellations, and I can see here this is basically the rule that has been added. This is just a visualization in the dashboard. These rules are indexed in code so that they are easier to find. And each category has its own YAML file that is structure, and the index points the AI to the correct rule. As you can see here, now I have a Figma flow and I want to review it. So against my governance rules, so I start a new session and I ask Claude to please review this design that I have in Figma against my governance rules. And what I expect the agent to do is to use I have another skill to check designs or coded components, or it can be also storybook stories with some kind of prototype in it against the rules. And what's cool about this system is that the agent will load only the relevant rules looking at the design. So for example, it will notice that the design has things like buttons, so it will load rules for buttons. It will notice it is a flow, it's not one screen, so it will load rules that are journey specific rules. It will load, of course, like the global ones that are relevant for everything, any design or any product, digital that it's given. But in this case, I expect it to understand that this is not just a journey, but it is a cancellation journey. So it should load also my newly encoded cancellation journey rule, and it should flag that in my design, my cancel subscription button is not using the correct variant. So here I will wait until it finishes. I will skip a bit forward, and here we go. It tells me that it has audited the design and it finds two errors. So we have the CNL 1.1, CNL 1.2. So we need one danger button and there are 0. And we forbid primary buttons when we have the cancel subscription step. So it identified correctly the issue that are against the rules I encoded. And here as a quick test, I also asked, like, can you fix the error for me? In this case, because it would just be swapping a button variant, it would not make sense to ask the AI to do that, but it's just to show that the AI can, of course, do the fixes for the rules that don't pass. In this case, it should swap the button to a danger variant. Here we see what it does. Here I will also skip forward. And here we go. It finished. It says that it fixed the absence of a danger button and also removing the primary button. So now if I switch to Figma, I see that that's what it did. I noticed there is a bit of a design issue with the layouts of the buttons, which I noticed also Claude mentions it, that it had to make a design call. In this case, because the frames I created were quite narrow, it stacked the 3 buttons because it added a back button, which was also something required by my rules to be able to go back in the steps. So yeah, the layout can be something to fix, but this is one way I found, and I'm still exploring how to encode these kind of things. As you can see, like from my repo, at the moment I have these governance rules in YAML files. So for example, the cancellation flow governance rule has its own YAML file, which has its own structure. It inherits from Journey and it adds some additional rules that are specific to cancellation flows. This is a structure file. I also have a MD, which I generate as well. This is more human readable. This is something I use to feed an MCP. It's basically the same, but in prose. It's easier to read for humans. At the moment I have both of them. I use them for different use cases. Yeah, I'm still experimenting with this. But yeah, this has been like my approach.